The storm came fast, like it had been waiting for her. Rain struck the earth in hard sheets, thunder rolling through the pine-covered hills as Emma Rose reached the iron gates of Pine Ridge Ranch. Her wool cloak clung heavy to her shoulders, soaked through, her hair loose and dark with rain. She had walked the last stretch alone after her wagon broke on the road, each step filled with doubt and pride battling inside her chest. She did not know it yet, but this moment would divide her life into before and after. On the other side of the gates sat a man on a black horse, tall and unmoving, as solid as the mountains behind him. Ezra Bear Hawthorne, the mountain man of Pine Ridge, watched her in silence. He was known across the territory as a man who feared nothing and loved no one. 4 years earlier, he had buried his wife and his unborn child, and with them, his heart. Since then, he lived for work alone, keeping his distance from people and their expectations. Emma lifted her chin, refusing to look small. "The gates are locked," she said, her voice steady despite the cold. "I am Emma Rose. I came for the governess position at Widow Brooks's home. My wagon broke down in the storm." Ezra studied her face, not with the usual judgment she had learned to expect, but with something quieter, recognition perhaps. Without a word, he dismounted and unlocked the gates. "Come in," he said. "You should not stand in this weather." As they walked toward the main house, rain falling between them, Emma felt the weight of the past 2 weeks pressing on her chest. The scandal at the Cedar Falls barn dance still burned fresh in her memory. She had gone with hope that night, wearing her late mother's old blue dress, mended with care. At 22, with no dowry and a father ruined by failed mining ventures, she knew chances were few. Still, she had stood tall. William Ashford had danced with her out of duty, pushed forward by his mother. When the music ended, he spoke loud enough for others to hear, marking her as beneath him, reminding everyone that she did not belong. Laughter had followed. Whispers, too. Emma had left with her dignity intact, but her name broken. By morning, the story had spread and twisted. She became the girl who dared to dream above her place. Her father tried to comfort her, but he had little left to give. It was her aunt who suggested the position at Pine Ridge. Respectable work. A way out. Now, standing inside the massive ranch house with its wide floors and stone fireplace, Emma felt both small and safe. Ezra ordered dry clothes and coffee for her. He did not touch her or speak unnecessarily, and she was grateful for that respect. Her eyes caught on a portrait above the fireplace. A woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile looked back at her. "My wife," Ezra said quietly. "Grace. She died 4 years ago." "I'm sorry for your loss," Emma replied, and she meant it. The grief in his voice was not worn thin by time. Later, dressed in dry clothes, she sat across from him with a warm cup in her hands. The storm raged outside, trapping them in a silence that felt heavy but honest. When she spoke of her ruined prospects and her wish for independence, Ezra nodded, as if he understood more than she had said. "Society is quick to decide who is worthy," he said. "It is rarely fair." There was no cruelty in his words, only tired truth. Before the rain eased, he showed her the music room. A piano stood untouched, polished but lonely. Emma hesitated, then played a simple song her mother once loved. The notes filled the house, soft and aching. Ezra turned away, eyes closed, tears tracing down his face. Music, it seemed, had opened a door he had kept locked. When she finished, neither spoke for a long moment. "I promised myself I would never love again," Ezra said finally. "It seemed right, loyal." "And did it bring you peace?" Emma asked gently. "No," he admitted, "only loneliness." That night, Emma lay awake in the guest room, listening to the storm fade. She told herself this was only a passing moment, born of rain and shared pain. By morning, she would go to Widow Brooks's house and begin a quiet, sensible life. Ezra Hawthorne would remain a distant memory, but as sleep finally came, her dreams were filled with dark eyes, thunder, and the sound of a piano waking a silent house. She did not yet know that promises, once tested, can break, or that hearts, even buried ones, can still learn how to beat again. Morning came softly over Pine Ridge Ranch, sunlight breaking through the clouds left behind by the storm. Emma woke with a strange heaviness in her chest, as if the night had carved something permanent inside her. She dressed quietly and joined Ezra for breakfast, both of them careful, polite, guarded. Nothing improper was said, yet everything felt different. After breakfast, Ezra escorted her to Widow Brooks's house himself. The path wound through open pastures, where cattle grazed and pine trees stood tall and still. Neither spoke much. Words felt dangerous now, like they could reveal too much. Widow Brooks welcomed Emma warmly. The children, Daniel and Lucy, clung to her skirts within minutes. Emma felt purpose settle over her like a steady hand. Teaching filled her days and gave her something solid to hold on to. Lessons, chores, reading aloud by the fire. Life found a rhythm again. Ezra stayed away. He did not visit the Brooks house without reason. When their paths crossed at Sunday service, he offered only a polite nod. Emma told herself this was for the best. She was a governess. He was the most powerful ranch owner in the region. Feelings were foolish. But foolish things have roots. Weeks passed. Emma became a quiet fixture of Pine Ridge life. The children flourished under her care. Widow Brooks trusted her fully. Yet whispers began to move like wind through tall grass. People noticed when Ezra lingered a moment longer near her after chapel. They noticed when he asked her opinion on books or land matters, always in public, always proper. One afternoon, Widow Brooks spoke plainly. "You should be careful," she said gently. "Not because I doubt your character, but because people enjoy tearing down what they do not understand." Emma nodded. She understood that too well. Then came the letter. Emma's father was ill, not dying, but weak. Cedar Falls called her back, dragging up old memories and unfinished pain. Ezra offered his carriage without hesitation. She resisted at first, but time mattered more than pride. The journey back was quiet. Ezra did not speak of feelings, only of the road and her father's health. But when he helped her down at her old cabin, their hands brushed, and something unspoken passed between them. Her father looked smaller than she remembered, frail, older. Emma cared for him with steady devotion. One evening he spoke what she had not dared to say aloud. "There is someone," he said softly. "I see it in your eyes." Emma tried to deny it, but her heart betrayed her. She told him about Ezra, about the grief, about the distance between them. Her father squeezed her hand. "Do not let fear decide your life, Emma. I did that, and I lost everything. Love that asks you to be brave is not a sin." Those words stayed with her. When Emma returned to Pine Ridge, something had shifted inside her. She no longer avoided Ezra's presence. She did not seek him out either, but when he approached, she stayed. One evening, as the sun sank low and painted the hills gold, Ezra met her on the porch of Widow Brooks's house. He asked about her father. She answered honestly. Silence followed, thick and fragile. "I missed you," he said simply. "So did I," she replied, surprising herself. He did not touch her. He did not cross any line. But the truth had finally been spoken. From that night on, they allowed themselves careful honesty, conversations under open skies, shared books, quiet walks where distance remained but understanding grew. Ezra spoke of grace, not with despair now, but with gratitude. Emma listened without jealousy, honoring a love that had shaped him. Still, the world did not make it easy. A cattle buyer withdrew his business. A neighbor refused Ezra's invitation. Whispers sharpened. Emma felt the weight of it pressing down again, familiar and cruel. One night, unable to bear the uncertainty, she confronted Ezra in the ranch library. "We cannot live like this," she said, half steps in fear. "It will destroy us both." Ezra looked at her, pain and resolve mixing in his eyes. "Then let me choose you openly," he said. "Let me stand for something real, even if it costs me." Emma's breath caught. This was no longer about romance. It was about courage. Outside, the wind moved through the pines, steady and sure. She knew then that love had already won. The only question left was how much they were willing to risk for it. Ezra did not wait long after that night in the library. The next Sunday, after service at the small ranch chapel, he did something that made the quiet yard fall still. Instead of leaving alone as he always had, he walked directly to Emma's side. He spoke with her openly, asking about the children, about her lessons, about books they had both read. His voice was calm, his posture steady. There was nothing secret in his manner. People noticed. At first, whispers followed them like shadows. Some faces tightened with disapproval. Others showed surprise. A few showed something close to relief, as if they were glad to see the mountain man step back into the world of the living. Emma felt the weight of every look, but she did not step away. She stood straight, answering Ezra easily, refusing to shrink again for anyone. Over the following weeks, Ezra continued just the same. He visited Widow Brooks's home in daylight, always with clear purpose. He spoke with Emma where others could see. He treated her with respect so obvious it left no room for scandal. Slowly, the sharpest whispers dulled. What remained was curiosity. One afternoon, Widow Brooks finally addressed it. "If there is something between you and Mr. Hawthorne," she said carefully, "I would rather hear it from you than from the air." Emma did not lie. "There are feelings," she said, "and there is caution. We are trying to do this rightly." Widow Brooks studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "He is a good man," she said, "a wounded one, but good. If anyone could meet him where he is, it would be you." That quiet approval felt heavier than any public praise. Ezra knew there would be consequences. 2 business partners pulled away. A neighboring ranch owner stopped speaking to him altogether. Letters arrived, filled with concern and warning. Ezra read them, folded them, and set them aside. For the first time since Grace's death, he felt certain of his path. When he finally asked Emma to meet him in the library one winter evening, she already sensed what was coming. Snow fell softly outside, blanketing the land in silence. Ezra stood before her, not grand, not dramatic, just honest. "I loved my wife with everything I had," he said, "and loving you does not erase that. It honors it. Grace taught me how to love deeply. You taught me how to live again." He knelt then, not as a man of power, but as a man asking for trust. He held out a simple ring that had belonged to his mother. "Emma Rose," he said, his voice steady though his hands trembled. "Will you marry me and walk beside me through whatever comes?" Emma felt tears slip free before she could stop them. She thought of the dance where she had been humiliated, of the storm at the gates, of the long road that had brought her here. "Yes," she said. "Not because it will be easy, but because it is true." The engagement was announced openly after Sunday service. Ezra spoke plainly to the gathered community, saying that character mattered more than money, and courage more than comfort. Some turned away, others stayed silent, but many remained, and that was enough. Emma's father came to the ranch despite his weak health. When Ezra took his hand, Benjamin looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Take care of her," he said simply. "I will," Ezra replied, "with my life." The wedding was small, held in the ranch chapel beneath pine branches and white candles. Ranch hands filled the benches. Widow Brooks and the children sat in the front. When Emma walked down the aisle, she did not feel like a rejected girl anymore. She felt chosen. Ezra's smile when he saw her was quiet and full, the smile of a man finally at peace. Their life together was not without struggle. Some doors stayed closed. Some voices never softened. But the ranch thrived. Laughter returned to the house. Music filled the rooms again. Emma became mistress of Pine Ridge, not by title alone, but by kindness and strength. And Ezra, the mountain man who had sworn never to love again, learned that grief does not end love. It makes space for a deeper one. Together they stood against storms, just as they had met in one, and this time they did not stand alone.